Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Last Thursday, I had the opportunity to see the newest sequel film, Twisters, starring Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones. I say sequel, but it's not really a sequel. It's kind of just a spiritual reboot successor because there's really no ties to the original ones now that I'm thinking about it. Now, right off the bat, I just want to say I am not a diehard fan of the original. I thought it was good, but only because it had fun tornadoes and a lot of destruction, and it had kind of a cheesy plot and cheesy characters. I don't think that it's this cult classic that a lot of people think it is. I love Bill Paxton, but again, it was just a super cheese fest to me. So I wasn't super excited going into this one, but I was curious because Glenn Powell is kind of on the rise. He was good in that rom-com that he did with Sydney Sweeney, and then he came out with that movie Hitman on Netflix by Linklater, and that really took me by surprise. He was phenomenal in that and had the chance to really stretch his acting chops in terms of playing so many different characters. If you haven't seen that movie yet, I highly recommend it. If you have a Netflix subscription, I mean, it's free, why not? It's overall a really good movie. Then hearing that Glenn Powell is coming out with a Backdraft remake and he's coming out with a Running Man remake from the Stephen King novel that Arnold Schwarzenegger originally did. I love those movies, and if those directors are casting him in that, I'm excited. I'm excited to live in a world where Glenn Powell is kind of on the rise. So that was really the main driving force for my excitement in seeing this. To my absolute surprise, this movie exceeded all of my expectations. All this movie needed to do was have fun destruction scenes with tornadoes and make me care about Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones's character. But this movie goes so far above that. On one hand, yes, you do get the really good destructive environment moments with the tornadoes, but they also spend a good amount of time of establishing these characters and making you really care about them. The very beginning of this movie, Daisy Edgar Jones goes through something very traumatic that kind of shapes the way she views tornadoes. She is originally someone trying to disrupt them, but again, due to a tragedy, she abandons that mission of this tech that she invents that could potentially stop a tornado in its tracks, and kind of goes and just watches them and surveys them from the safety of New York City, where we never really get tornadoes. One of her friends that she used to be on this crew with of tornado disruptors comes to her in New York and says, "We found this new way of doing this and we can't really test it without you." And even though she doesn't want to do it and she's scared because of the tragedy she went through, ultimately she just wants to save lives of people in Oklahoma that are experiencing this horrible wave of tornadoes. And upon going back with him, she meets Glenn Powell's character, who is this YouTube sensation tornado cowboy wrangler. He's pretty much the same character in the first half of the movie that he's playing in Maverick, although after the halfway point, his character kind of shifts as you get to know him, and he actually has his own motives and he has his own arc that I thought was really endearing. And together, they have to team up and try and figure out how to stop these tornadoes that are destroying Oklahoma. The story itself is very interesting. It's nothing that's going to win any Academy Awards, but it kept me engaged. The tech that was disrupting the tornadoes, I am not a scientist, but in theory, sounds like it would actually work if someone was daring enough to drive into the heart of a tornado and release them. And their chemistry is just off the charts here. So not only do you get this fun, edge-of-your-seat disaster movie, but you also get a good character piece and this good relationship building with Daisy Edgar Jones and Glenn Powell's character. Glenn Powell is the standout here for me over Daisy Edgar Jones. She is great in this, but he gets the most moments to shine, the most heroic moments. And he's just so charismatic, it's hard not to like him. That's not to say that this movie is perfect. Like I said, there's nothing in this script that's going to win it an Academy Award. It is, at the end of the day, a disaster film. There is a lot of science mumbo-jumbo in it that they expect you to kind of just be like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's kind of like the MacGuffins. You're just supposed to buy that this thing is real. They also need a lot of cannon fodder for the tornadoes, and there's a lot of despicable people in this movie that eat it, and they're just despicable for the sake of getting you to a point where you want the tornado to just kill them. There are some plot holes and logic problems. As I said, this is not a perfect movie, but it is wildly enjoyable. I also want to throw a shout out to the cinematography in this film. It's some of the most beautiful cinematography I've seen in a long time. Just the way that they capture landscapes and these big wide shots of characters standing watching tornadoes. I just frequently caught myself just holding my breath at how beautiful it looked. At the end of the day, guys, like I said, I was totally taken back by this movie. I was not expecting to like it as much as I was. I wasn't expecting to like the characters as much as I was. I thought this movie was going to be way cheesier. It's not. The last 5 minutes has a little bit of cheese in it, but they kind of pull it back right before it gets to that moment of like, okay, you went full rom-com. I really can't recommend this movie enough. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you want to see this movie? Has my review swayed you in the direction of wanting to see it? I really hope I gave you a reason to go to the movies this weekend, or I guess in this case, next weekend, although you're probably not, because this movie's about to get pummeled by Deadpool and Wolverine. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and as always, I'll catch you next time.